Hi there, I'd like to share some words of Torah with you about this week's Parsha, Parshat Truma. Ask anyone on the street, and you ask them, tell me, what is the Torah? What is the Bible? And they'll say, well, the 5 books of Moses, the Pentateuch, Chamisha Chumshei Torah. And the answer that they're giving you, while factually accurate, is actually only the tip of the iceberg of the real answer. If you consider it, the 5 books by themselves don't really make a whole lot of sense. What gives them meaning is the oral Torah. When Moshe went up to Sinai, which we read about 2 weeks ago in Parshat Yitro, and God gave him the Torah, he did not just tell him exactly verbatim the words of the written Torah. He gave him an entity which he called Torah, and then he asked him to write down specific words which indicate the lecture notes, if you will. They are the writings that indicate the grand ideas of the Torah in totality. Not everything can be written down. It would be ridiculous. It would be volumes and volumes and volumes. Moshe therefore wrote down the Torah in a specific way which reminded him of everything else. Do you know what the most common verse in the Torah is? Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe lemor. And God spoke to Moshe saying. Saying what? He spoke to him. Isn't that redundant? Every time I tell you something, I'm saying something, am I not? Rabbeinu Bechaya, one of the earliest commentators, explains that Vayidaber Hashem is a reference to what he told Moshe to write down. What he told him literally to write down on the cloth, write down in his Torah. Lemor is the explanation that he added on, that he explained what the writing was about. So in the very pasuk, in the most common pasuk, the most frequent verse you'll find in the Torah, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe lemor, you see this idea hinted at, and that is that there is on the one hand a written Torah, but on the other hand there is an oral Torah as well, and they are two ideas that cannot be divided from each other. They are one entity. As you may be aware, this week's parsha in Parshat Truma, God instructs Moshe on the building of the vessels of the Mishkan, the various pieces that are going to be in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, which of course means a holy place. Now, for our sake, it's a temporary holy place. It's the predecessor to the Beit HaMikdash, which will ultimately be built in Jerusalem. The same vessels are used both in the temporary as well as in the permanent. The menorah, the mizbeach, the aron, the shulchan, the table. Very interestingly, most, and I say most very carefully, most of the vessels of the Mishkan are constructed in whole units, 2 by 2 by 2, 1 by 3 by 1, etc. And the particular unit that's used in the Torah is an amma, which is 2 by 2, which is about 2 feet, 2.2 feet or so. An amma is literally from the length of the end of the elbow to the top of the middle finger. That's an amma. The aron was unique in the sense that it was 1.5 by 1.5 by 2.5. Its length was 2.5 amot. Its height and its width were 1.5. One of the commentators, Rabbi Sorotskin, in his book Aznaim LeTorah, asks, why is it that the aron is in half measurements when everything else is in whole measurements? And the answer that he gives is the same theme with which we are working. And that is that only half the Torah can be in the aron itself. Because think for a moment, what was inside the aron? The Luchot HaBrit, the tablets. Yes? Not only that, but even the Sefer Torah which Moshe wrote down, the Torah scroll which Moshe wrote down in the desert, was stored in the aron in the Mishkan. And that Sefer Torah was only the written Torah. And that represents only half the Torah, in a certain sense. It's not a complete Torah. And therefore units that are incomplete are used in the measuring of the aron itself. It's to hint that this is not the end-all and be-all of Torah. The Torah, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Torah is much grander, much broader, and much deeper than what you just see here right before you. And that's why the study of Talmud today is a study that takes generations. It's a study that consumes a lifetime, because it's an eternal study. It's an infinite study. It's there forever. With that, I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. I want to wish you Hatzlacha in the study of both the written and the oral Torah.